No, 2 of the 4 players left still undefeated on the day. Looks like Dresslar currently resolving mulligans.
I would guess that Infect is going to be favored in this matchup, even on a 7-card hand.
Which one? That
Infect, I believe, would be favored. Just the deck is so fast. There's not a ton that the Bant Eldrazi deck can do to interact. It does have access to Path to Exile in the main deck. And if you can get to the point, Mana Reshaper is not insignificant.
Right, so it has those 4 removal spells. In Eldrazi Winter, Eldrazi was excellent against Infect, but a lot of that was due to the fact that they were jamming large numbers of Chalice of the Voids in the main deck.
And Gut Shot.
And Gut Shot, and it was, right? And they were Paths and Dismembers.
Right.
So we'll start the game. Jessup's on the play. Dresslar has kept a mull to 5. So Dresslar's hand is Eldrazi Temple, Matter Reshaper, Ancient Stirrings, Noble Hierarch, Thought-Knot Seer. I mean, this is 1 green source from being a very strong hand.
Yeah, this hand is either going to do nothing or do very powerful things very quickly. I like keeping hands like this. Obviously, the 5-card is an unfortunate element.
Well, I love it's on a mull to 5. So yes, this hand requires him to get lucky. But if he does, his hand is more than serviceable. It may even be, I mean, it's competitive.
There are a few different draws that gives him access to turn 2 Thought-Knot Seer here, which is quite good.
Attention Magic players, just a friendly reminder that the StarCityGames.com sales booth, along with our other vendors and special guests, will be closing at the end of the round.
A fetch for Breeding Pool into Glistener Elf for Jessup. He's down to 15.
So by the end of the round. However, the SCG
We go to Dresslar, plays that Temple, says go.
Thank you.
So presumably if a green source was drawn, would have led with that.
I think he has 2 copies of Ancient Stirrings now. That was the draw for the turn.
That is not what he was looking for.
But you're right, second Temple is great.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. Might have Old Crows on Glistener Elf. Here's 5 poison onto Dresslar.
At this point in time, the turn 2 Thought-Knot Seer, it might not be enough.
Draw for Dresslar is Spellskite. Great card for the matchup. Not going to do it here. Doesn't hit the land.
Yeah, no
Dresslar's
mana
going to
whatsoever.
Jessup become immenses, and we're on to game 2.
And this is why, you know, even against a functional hand, that draw from Jessup puts way too much pressure on. You know, Max would have had to have exactly Path to Exile to interact with that hand at all.
But it's a great keep nonetheless. And it seems strange. You're like, wow, you know, the game's over in 2 minutes. How can we say that was a great keep? High risk, good risk, though.
Yeah, and you don't keep your 5-card. You don't go down to 4 cards because you know your opponent is on Infect. You know that maybe he has a bad Infect hand. Other decks in the format, though, that hand is much better against.
All right, so let's go ahead and look at the sideboards to start here. So I'm going to go to the Bant Eldrazi side. In the main deck, it does seem like Andrew can sneak under him, especially with a card like Glistener Elf on the play. But he has a lot of weapons for this matchup. So he has 3 Engineered Explosives, 3 Grafdigger's Cages, 2 Stony Silence, 2 Stubborn Denial, 1 Dismember, 1 Eldrazi Mimic, 1 Fracturing Gust, 1 Negate, and 1 World Breaker.
I like the Dismember as a slam dunk. That one comes in for sure. I like Stubborn Denial to try to fight some counter wars, even just as the Force Spike mode. You don't necessarily have to be ferocious for the Denial to be good in this matchup. And there's an argument for Engineered Explosives as well. In particular, in this deck, I like bringing it in against Infect. Even though it is a little slow, the Bant Eldrazi mana curve is so high that you just have to do something to bring it down, and an interactive spell is good.
Yeah, you mean, so if you go turn 1, explosives on 1, turn 2, crack it, that may actually be okay. You may not be costing you. It's not much of a cost for you to do that. You don't always have something to do there.
Right, you know, over something like the Drowner of Hopes.
Yeah. Drowner of Hope does seem excellent if he can ever make it to that card.
Yes.
But I don't know if that's a realistic thing to do.
In order to make it to that card, you have to be interacting in the early turns, or Jessup has to have non-functional hands, at which point, what does it really matter what you're drawing?
So on Andrew Jessup's side of the board, he's got 3 Nature's Claims, 3 Kitchen Finks, 2 Spell Pierce, 2 Dismember, a Dispel, a Twisted Image, a Grafdigger's Cage, a Spellskite, and a Dryad Arbor. I'm not sure how much I like of any of these.
Well, I also like Jessup's Dismembers, because there are some large creatures coming out of Max's deck. Having Dismember for Thought-Knot Seer seems pretty good. It's possible in a lot of games that these creatures just generally don't matter, But you can even dismember Noble Hierarch, and that could be good in a lot of games as well. So I would like to see maybe some dismembers, though the Twisted Images do a better job of that role.
Right, I would be totally fine dismembering a Noble Hierarch against this deck. It's likely a complete time walk.
Yeah.
Players getting ready here for Game 2. We're going to take a second to tell you about Star City Games Regionals. They're happening at the beginning of August. So these are the regional championships. We do regional championships, as you know, twice a year. So these are our summer regionals. They will be taking place during Modern. So first of all, we are giving away an exclusive playmat and token for players. First 200 players to register at each location. We have this as the Hot Pursuit playmat, which you can see here. And then featuring that goblin on the playmat, you can get him in token form.
Not again.
Getting him for the first 200 players. Now, this is going to be August 6th, as we mentioned. It's standard. This is for during Season and 2. You can find this near you. It feeds into the SCG Tour and is part of it. So you see these points that the players are acquiring to get into that points race. 20 points to the winner, 15 to the finalist, 10 to the top 4, and so on. That is part of the Season 2 of the SCG Tour. Not to mention, top 8 in your regionals does qualify you for the Invitational. So you can find a location near you at starcitygames.com/regionals.
Regionals, always a great tournament.
Dresslar on the play starts on Eldrazi Temple. Can he find a second one? Still waiting for that dream.
Can he find a second land just to upgrade from that first game?
Sure. For Jessup, it is a Noble Hierarch. Dresslar will make a turn to Eldrazi Displacer.
Displacer, if you have the mana to activate it multiple times, it's really good in this matchup.
Remember, if for those of you who didn't play during Eldrazi Winter, Eldrazi Temple, yeah, you can use that to pay 2 for the Displacer.
Yep. Pump spells will not protect you from Displacer. Have to have something like Vines of the Vastwood. If another Temple shows up, you'll be able to very easily activate Displacer again in response. Apostle's Blessing cannot save you from the Displacer because a Displacer has no color.
Apostle's Blessing can pick any color or can pick artifacts. Just almost enough. So here is Viridian Corruptor from Jessup. He'll pass. You feel like that should be able to hit the Displacer, but then it doesn't. It's not an artifact, it's just really close. And yeah, this card is excellent against Infect. So Max will play Cavern of Souls, set to Eldrazi. It's his third land. At 4 mana, he's going to make Thought Knot Seer.
Good name on the Cavern. Funny thing happens sometimes when you play these Eldrazi decks is sometimes you have to use the colorless mana from Cavern of Souls to get the colorless requirement on Thought Knot Seer. So you tap the Cavern, but it's not an uncounterable spell. Doesn't really matter in this matchup. And
so a lot of pump spells in Jessup's hand. He has a Become Immense, a Vines of Vastwood, and a Mutagenic Growth. So triple pump spell. He has a Pendlehaven and a Twisted Image. Twisted Image in anticipation for a Spellskite that Max might be playing.
The most threatening spell here, assuming Max gets to untap with the Displacer, is going to be the Vines of the Vastwood because it forces a second activation from the Displacer. So have to see exactly how much Delve is available to see if Max is potentially just dead next turn. Of course, he does have blockers available.
Yeah, he's looking at the Become Immense. Next turn, Andrew gets to free swing that Corruptor. And when Max blocks, Andrew will just use one of his pump spells to kill the Thought Knot Seer.
Mm-hmm. I'm leaning towards the Vines, personally. I could definitely see the argument for the Become Immense.
I agree, though. Vines is pretty good here. And Max, yeah, that's the one card that can interact with the Eldrazi Displacer. And it looks like he's reaching the same conclusion.
Yeah, I like this pick a lot.
He will select Vines of Vastwood.
Well,
yeah, it's close. I get wanting to take Become Immense.
Can't take both.
It's interesting. So he's worried about getting one shot by that Become Immense?
Yes.
I would think.
Distortion strike off the top could end this game in short order.
Yeah, well, because if he takes Vines, then Mutagenic Growth, Become Immense is just lethal.
Mm-hmm. And
available right away.
Yes. Ends up taking the Vines. I believe that's the pick that I would make as well.
That's what he does. And now he's got to hope to dodge that Distortion Strike. Draw as I was.
I saw it was a blue card.
Yeah. Looks like Twisted Image was the draw, though. Twisted Image on the Thought Knot. That'll make it a 4/4. Andrew will draw.
There's another different blue card. Looks like a Taxium Probe was the pickup.
He'll do that. We'll take a look at Max's hand now. It is Temple Garden, Engineered Explosives, Matter Reshaper, Drowner.
It's a pretty good hand.
Have that Eldrazi Displacer Drowner of Hope combo.
Yeah.
If you didn't see a lot of that, if you didn't get your fill of that one during Eldrazi Winter, it's gross.
Once that gets online, Jessup's just not going to be able to ever get into combat. He would have to peel some of those Dismembers, assuming that they were sided in, to start actually playing Magic.
Yeah, Max would tap 2 creatures a turn while attacking Jessup. Here's Inkmoth Nexus from Jessup. He'll swing the Corruptor. He's got 4 cards in his graveyard. Max knows about the Become Immense and the Mutagenic Growth, so he knows he has to block. He would die if he doesn't.
Yep.
The black has to be Thought Knot then, think? Displacer's just too valuable?
Yeah, Displacer is definitely too valuable here.
Yeah, Max coming to the same conclusion. Here's Thought Knot. He will get a pump spell for his troubles.
Yeah, the thing is, he's going to have to block with something on the next turn anyway. If he has Drowner plus Displacer, he can build towards that combo and go over the top that way. Attacking for 4 with the Thought Knots here just isn't going to accomplish enough in time. He's going to be able to set up this combo before that's the kind of thing that would matter in this game.
Andrew casts the Mutagenic Growth. So the Corruptor becomes a 5/5, takes down the Thought Knot Seer, and Andrew will draw. Looks like he drew a Windswept Heath. We go back over to Dresslar.
If Dresslar could find Eldrazi Temple on this turn and be able to cast the Drowner of Hope this turn, that would be excellent. The way things have shaped up, the Inkmoth Nexus on Jessup's side of the table is somewhat troublesome.
Well, right, so if Max wants to leave up the 3 mana for Eldrazi Displacer, right now his hand of Matter Reshaper, Drowner, Engineered Explosives, none of those actually, he can't cast any of those and leave up mana.
Right.
So play Temple Garden. That'll come into play tapped. Or actually untapped. He'll take 2 and then cast Ancient Stirrings. Looks like he's going to find an Eldrazi Temple. And take it.
I like it.
Yeah, ideally he did not actually start the turn with any green mana. Otherwise he could have played the Temple for the turn.
Yep. Yeah, the Cavern of Souls, Temple, Plains, none of these tap for green.
Does mean that next turn he'll have, off his 5 lands, he'll have 7 mana available. You'll be able to start casting these other cards, setting up that Drowner Displacer win condition.
Yeah. So on this turn, I think that he just needs to leave up activation for the Displacer, wait for Jessup to do something, displace in response if a lethal attack is coming through. And if he does anything, it would be casting Engineered Explosives for 1.
How worried is he about Vines, though? Could just kill him.
What can he do about it?
Sure. Twisted Image by Andrew Jessup. He's going to cycle that one away. Now he untaps. This is a big turn for Jessup. It may be his last turn to attack.
Yeah.
Players confirming life totals. We have Andrew at 14, Max at 18. No poison on anyone just yet.
Yeah, the 0 poison makes you feel pretty good about Max's position.
Pendelhaven, the play from Jessup. He will activate Inkmoth. Attack with it. We'll see if he Pendelhavens before it exalts. He will not, so it's now a 2/2. Going to become immense it. That'll move it up to an 8/8. He's bluffing Vines of Vastwood at the moment. If Max goes for a displacement and Andrew has Vines, Andrew wins.
I like it.
The question is, if Andrew doesn't have Vines, how good of an attack is this?
This attack is great if Andrew doesn't have Vines.
Yeah.
If you're Max, I think you're just supposed to take this 8 poison.
He does. But I'll tell you what, I don't think, Jessup's playing a Glistener Elf. I don't think Jessup had the Vines.
No, I definitely think he did not.
That is awesome. He's got 8 poison in the face of an online displacer.
Yeah, with this,
I'm impressed. That's great.
With this Glistener Elf follow-up, let's find out if he can actually get through this Drowner.
All right, Eldrazi Temple from Dresslar. Here's Drowner, 2 Scions. 3 Infectors, though, from Andrew, and he's got Dresslar down to 8 poison. With that Pendelhaven and some Exalted triggers, that's not half bad.
Yeah, well, there's the Inkmoth Nexus, and the Glistener Elf could be Pendelhavened up to 2, and the Viridian Corruptor naturally is a 2.
All right. Dresslar will swing in for 3 with the Displacer. That puts Jessup down to 11. It's actually a very good attack.
Yeah, that thing's not blocking.
It's the whole game plan. So now can Jessup? He got 8 poison for free. He cashed in the Become Immense. Can he get one more hit in?
Yeah, that was really well played by Jessup here, but Max didn't take the bait, didn't go for the Displacer there. And it's unclear if Jessup would be able to break through.
Plays in a Windswept Heath. Activates Inkmoth. He has 3 Infectors. Going to go to attacks. Is Dresslar letting him attack?
Dresslar must have Path, right? What's going on?
Well, he can sack the Scions to displace.
He has double Scion land, right? He can displace that way. Maybe he's trying to force out a spell, but the Noble Hierarch makes that something that doesn't matter.
He'll displace, and Andrew has the Vines. So that's game match for Andrew Jessup.
So with the Vines, he could go for the tap. The Jessup would Vines in response. He would have to tap it again, and then there's
no way out.
Too many attackers. Yeah, that Vines just kind of clinches the game.